Hey guys, so I kind of have issues with the way schools present certain topics, or at least how they present them in school. They don't really do it in a way that I think is, interesting. Like, or it doesn't. We all know the school has a one size fits all model and doesn't really cater towards individual learning styles very well. And that's a systemic problem. That's not the fault of any individual teacher or any individual principal or any individual school. It's just that's how the system's in place. And even if there are people within the system that want to change it, they're unable to do so. So, I don't fault you guys for it, but the collective institution just it's not really good at fostering curiosity and learning. For a personal example, and this is crazy because most people aren't going to have this thought like I am right now, is when I decided not to take calculus in high school. And the reason I decided not to do it, there's a couple reasons for it. One, I took an assistant manager job at my current job at the time over taking calculus. Now, overall, that was the best decision to make, because had I taken calculus, the class itself would have been completely against my learning style, because how math is often taught is with endless repetition. That just doesn't work for me. I don't learn that way. It gets tedious. I want to figure out how to do the problem and then move on and go on to some applications. I don't have to have it pounded into my head like that. Fuck, don't do that. But there wasn't, just the way I'm pretty sure the class was taught and the way it was presented and the way people talked about it, they didn't, not once. And I thought about it, whenever anyone talked about it, I was like, you need it for like engineering stuff and all that. But they never once said, this is the math used in astrophysics and it was created for that purpose originally. And I'm like, what? Like, I mean, I didn't actually know that until I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmos. And I'm like, why didn't I know this sooner? Why wasn't this just kind of like, when they were presenting the concept of taking calculus in school, why wasn't it focused on, or why didn't they say, these are all the things it can be practical for. Here are your practical things. It can be used for engineering. It can be used for this. It can be used in astrophysics and all that. And, I didn't take the class, so maybe on the first day of the class for some of these people, for some of these teachers, it was presented that way. But it didn't feel like it was that way at my school. And no one really, I just didn't know that. And maybe I would have actually been more interested in learning it had it been presented in a way that was like, oh wow, that's cool, that's important. And I think a lot of that is just like the school's just way too flippin' career centered. They're all like, we're gonna train the next workers of society and all that. And you know what? You're doing a bad job at it. You're kind of missing the point of education. Yes, it needs to be partially about training, but training for your like career stuff doesn't really actually factor in until you are in school, post public school, or once you're out of high school. Although I really think we should be doing like, maybe the second half of high school would be better focused on like career training stuff, or allow people to not necessarily finish their entire high school. But yeah, it's just, I got a lot of complicated thoughts about the school system. I can't decompress them all right now. I'll come back to this topic, but my main thing is like, I'm just annoyed that, the math of calculus was never, properly connected to me and its importance to a topic that I actually have some interest in, and that's like astrophysics. I mean, I'm interested in astronomy. I'm not. That's gonna be a hobby of mine. It's never gonna be something that's like a career thing for me. But I find it interesting, and I like to be able to. I'm thinking of actually kind of learning calculus a little bit myself, so I can just kind of go in and like. I don't need to be able to do it well, or, I just need to be able to understand what I'm looking at. I like to look at an equation and know what I'm seeing and not just a whole bunch of random letters and numbers that don't seem to make any sense. I'd like them to actually kind of make a little sense. Yeah, that's all I got. This is a complicated topic. I'll probably go back and do it again at some point. So, later.